Hey everyone, good news! It's time for the Clash Royale League in Europe. Today's first match features 7th ranked Team Dignitas against the last place Misfits. This battle at the bottom is all about pride, redemption, and trying out crazy new decks, because you can. Have fun, gents!
Our showcase match today, Team Dignitas versus Misfits. I am JP. The knockout artist wants to add one more head to his wall. Across from him, though, the man who wants to stop that from happening, Pepe, coming off a big-time sweep in 1v1 against Azelis. Hello and welcome to Clash Royale League. I'm Rich Slayton. Joining me is Andrew Guy, and we have just a few days of match play left for these squads to make their case that they should go to Japan.
Absolutely. As we hop into the standings right now, we'll be looking at these final couple weeks. Team Queso at the very top, 10-2 today. A battle at the bottom. Dignitas 4-8, Misfits 1-11. Really kind of trying to set their rhythm for this offseason and prepare for Season 2 of CRL.
While our first match today not going to affect our playoff standing, the second match, a big one with SK Gaming on the bubble. Team Liquid nipping at their heels. That matchup coming on Saturday, of course, 3 and 4 get to the first round. The second place team gets a first round bye, and that first place team needs only one match to make it to our World Finals.
Absolutely, and those World Finals will be taking place in Tokyo, Japan on December 1st. Rich and I will be there, and we would love to see you there. Hop in game to figure out all the details.
Later today, Team Queso will make their case to try to secure the #1 spot and that first and second round bye. SK Gaming trying to put a bit of a cushion between themselves and the all-star squad Team Liquid. But first up today, what kind of amounts to a showcase match between two squads that are really looking to prove something here today to themselves and to the Clash Royale community. Misfits versus Team Dignitas.
Absolutely. Coming out today for Misfits, we've got that one guy, Jose LC, Dregue, and of course Pepe. Their opponents, Dignitas, on a 5-game losing streak. We've got Wonka, Max Lamanas, Messi 10, and of course I am JP.
Team Dignitas did look like a contender early on, but as you mentioned, that 5-game skid has now put them out of contention for those playoffs. But they still have an all-star on their squad, IMJP, the knockout artist, capable of finishing anyone within a hair's breadth. He's standing by with Christy St. John to talk about today's match.
Thanks, guys. IMJP, unfortunately, the playoff hopes aren't there anymore, so what are your plans for the rest of the season?
Sabemos que no estamos en playoff, no hemos tenido el rendimiento que queríamos, pero vamos a luchar cada partido como si fuera el último.
We know that we are not in playoff, but we hadn't the performance that we wanted, but still we are going to do our best in each match.
All right, sounds good. Muchas gracias por hablar conmigo. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. Both squads, not much to play for today but pride, but that pride is oh so important. Yeah. This is a match that neither one is taking lightly. So let's go inside the war rooms and see how Misfits and Dignitas get ready to take each other down.
Okay, guys, we are going to face Misfits today. We know that they are the lowest ranked team of the league and we won them before, but we cannot underestimate them, because they were playing really good his last matches. But today we are going to play better.
Okay. JP is one of the most difficult players for predict. Just play safe, solid decks, and take advantage of the ban. And let's do this. Just enjoy, be calm. This is one of our last match. And let's give all that we have and go for it, guys. Oh. That's all, go for it. Let's go, guys.
In 1v1, there is no one to hug, no one to high-five, no one to lean on. Lucky for these guys, they've got a 2v2 buddy at their side. Dignitas and Misfits, send your 2v2 tandems into battle and let the high-fives commence!
Max and Wonka once again coming out for Dignitas up against the Misfits combination of Jose LC and that one guy.
Yeah, Max over here has a set record of 4-6 in 2v2. Wonka is 4-7. That one guy 2-5, and Jose LC is 1-2. So neither of these squads having a ton of success throughout the season, but they still get a great match today to prove they're really here for a reason.
The ban cards today, looking at our 2v2 set, Dignitas taking Tornado off the board. No ban for Misfits as they were slightly late getting their roster in for today's matchup.
Yeah, you know, you wonder if that season, the fire that they had at the beginning of the season has maybe kind of gone out a little bit, Rich, or maybe if they just missed it by a hair.
You know, you never know what happens, but we will find out what happens between these two squads here in a moment. 2v2 Misfits versus Dignitas. Misfits, that one guy, and Jose LC, top of your screen. Dignitas' Max Lamanos and Wonka at the bottom, and this has been the pair for Misfits for all but 2 of their games.
Yeah, and a very similar starting hands for the team of Misfits here.
You know, it really looked early on, Andrew, like Dignitas would be a contender in our playoffs, making a real big push. They started the season off 3-1, lost to Allegiance, lost to Queso, no harm there, and they beat Liquid in week 5. And at that point, it looked like at 4-3, they were a real danger. And then a couple of very tough losses, including a surprise loss to Fnatic, put the postseason out of reach.
Yeah, you know, this is the inaugural season of CRL, Rich, and season lethargy, the amount of time and the amount of matches that you have to play, you're away from home, you know, all these things, these factors add up on the season. And when you see teams hitting a 5-game losing streak in Dignitas and a 6-game losing streak in Misfits, you've got to imagine those are the types of things that really start to wear on you.
Max and Wonka have won 4 sets together as a pair and fallen 5 times. Across from them, of course, you have that one guy and Jose LC, who have paired up together a little bit, not often this season. They are currently 1-1 as a team.
And Misfits here taking a good amount of damage on that top right tower here, and you see Dignitas, Max Lamanos, and Wonka haven't taken much damage at all, having a lot of defensive responses. Now, with this Golem coming down the lane and a Lava Hound pushing right into it, we'll see this cannon come out, we'll see how this Inferno Drag interacts with that Golem, and you'll also see if Misfits gets to their Electro Wiz in time.
That's a lot coming down the lane there. If that Prince can escape, could be big, but the Inferno Dragon picks him up on the back end.
Yep. And you usually always want your Inferno Dragon to hit the Golem, but actually taking out the Prince in this case may have been a nice stroke of luck for Dignitas.
Fireball clearing the way and taking tower damage. Then a 507 is the right-hand tower. Dignitas coming out firing here as we enter the final 30 seconds.
Yeah, the guard's not the response that you have to, or you want to drop on top of that Valkyrie, but the Lumberjack was pulled around by that miner. Great job of splitting your units in the front and the back on that tower.
Down to 717, and that Mega Minion nearly gets away onto tower, so now down to 668.
Wow, and Misfits just so close to being able to actually take that Princess Tower, even this game up and push it into overtime, but just not having that last 193 HP to push it to overtime.
So Max and Wonka taking the first game of our 2v2 set, trying to push their season record into the evens.
Yep, and here you see this big Lava Hound push coming in early. A great lightning comes down, but that balloon stays alive just a little longer than they like. The Electro Wiz comes in at the very end to clean up, but a few of those pups do get a lot of damage on that tower.
And you see the building elixir spent here, 6 for Team Dignitas, dropping, I believe it was a cannon twice, doing a good job of pulling that Golem. Of course, that was part of that sequence where the Golem got pulled to the cannon, right, and the Inferno Dragon took out the Prince from behind.
Yeah, and getting that Prince out of the way, a lot of damage off the board. Let's see if Misfits can bounce back in game number 2.
One more time, Misfits top of your screen, Dignitas at the bottom, and for Misfits, both these players, Jose and LC, and that one guy have had their moments. Of course, Jose LC coming off that big 3-crown win over Surgical Goblin in King of the Hill.
Yeah, that's a big one to take home, to add to your list of accomplishments. Taking down Surgical is no small task.
And of course, that one guy with a big win in King of the Hill to secure their 6th win. And again, that was part of that Team Liquid matchup. That one guy closing things out. and giving Misfits their one win, which really is a big one to take, and one that has affected our playoff picture because Liquid, again, now currently trying to find their way into playoffs.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely insane season in the sense that the most popular team in the entire world in Team Liquid, with the players that they have, the roster, with Azealis, Diego B, Surgical, and now Buffmax starting to make a real big name for himself here. It's shocking to see that they are battling for that 4th place spot.
Well, this Saturday will be huge. Of course, I'm sure they're going to be watching very closely later today when we get that SK Gaming matchup against the #1 team in Europe in Queso. And then, of course, Liquid and SK meeting on Saturday in what should be a blockbuster match.
Yeah, a lot of things can happen there. A loss by SK could mean that Liquid moves up in the standings. It could mean a clinch for Team Queso getting that 1st position. It's a huge match coming up, Rich.
So tower down for Dignitas. Misfits continuing to have some problems here in the 2v2 set. Overall this season, they have won in 2v2 4 times. Reggae and Pepe taking one off Allegiance. Reggae and that one guy against Fnatic, of course, the Team Liquid opening set for Reggae and Pepe again, and one more against Fnatic for Jose LC and that one guy.
Yeah, it's really tough when you can't convert those 2v2 set wins into a match win, and that's really been the big issue with Misfits, is just not being able to close it out when they need to. That win over Liquid, huge, obviously, but, you know, that was their only one.
So that Golem making it difficult to get anything across the river, pulling aggro from all of those support troops, and with a little support from its own, taking them out and now pushing that left-hand lane.
Yeah, and once again, a lot of damage going to come down on this left side tower for Misfits. Wondering maybe if they wish they had that ban, but it's probably going to be a set win here for Dignitas.
Final 10 seconds and just holding strong. Not able to get that Royal Giant through, so Dignitas, Max, and Wonka will even up their record on the season as a 2v2 pair, going 5-5 across all of their matches so far.
Yep, Dignitas very, very happy with that win. As we said, this doesn't really have an effect on our playoff implications, but this is great practice. You get to get on stage, you get to get under the lights, and you get to play against the best people in the world to hone in your skills.
Sorry, let me correct that. It's 5-6 at the moment, so with one more match in hand, they'll be looking to make that even on the season.
And this is where you see that Prince connecting early on. Dignitas doing a great job of keeping the pressure up, making it so they can continue this push. Misfits not having the defensive responses in hand, or maybe just not playing defense the way that they would have liked to. And that was a huge, huge momentum, not even shift, but just in the favor of Dignitas.
So with the first set down, we're moving into 1v1, and while again this doesn't affect our playoff picture, this is still a pretty big time matchup. Both of these guys have big signature wins on the season. The knockout artist, IMJP, facing off against the guy who just swept Azealis in 1v1 from Team Liquid in Pepe.
Hercules, Spartacus, Xena, William Wallace, great warriors of history who defined their destiny on the battlefield. I am JP and Pepe. Can you do the same in the arena? Gladiators, entertain us with a 1v1 duel.
We gotta throw Maximus Decimus Meridius in that mix if we're gonna talk about gladiators, Rich.
And I don't know who this William Wallace guy is. Hercules and Xena, though, important heroes of history and looking to be heroes right now for their squads in 1v1. IMJP and Pepe.
Yes, IMJP coming out for Dignitas today. He's 3-7 overall in 1v1 sets. However, he is 8-3 in King of the Hill, showing that he can do what he needs to for his team, especially when the pressure is on. His opponent, Pepe, coming off a big 1v1 set sweep over Azealis, is looking to bounce back and bring this match into King of the Hill.
Taking a look at our ban cards for our potential 3-game set here in 1v1. Both squads opting to get rid of balloons.
So many people have been done dirty by that balloon, including myself in a grand challenge this morning. So getting it out of play, very interesting. Probably going to keep everything on the ground, Rich.
So we only had one ban on accident earlier this morning. Now one ban on purpose here for 1v1. I guess it's afternoon. I didn't eat breakfast today, Andrew, so Everything's morning until you have eggs. Pepe for Misfits, top of your screen. IMJP for Dignitas at the bottom.
See the Barbarian Barrel coming out right away, and you got to immediately think Graveyard.
Kind of a cheeky opening there.
Yeah, you got to hit. I like it. And in turn, so we're probably looking at a mirror match here.
The Barbarian Barrel, we've said it many times, seems to be the big winner of the October update.
Oh, but instead, Pepe's going to go with the Prince instead of the traditional cannon cart in this meta. The cannon cart kind of working its way back into this graveyard deck just because it provides such a great amount of utility. Its speed, its range, its double health to reset an Inferno Dragon.
So not quite the mirror match, but fairly close.
IMJP frustrated. We all know that mirror matches aren't our favorite thing to play. However, mirror match graveyard with poisons in hand is a very, very frustrating mirror match.
So we'll see if one of these two chooses to try to push the pace or if this slows down to a potential long 6-minute draw.
Yeah, so the big things in this game that we're going to have to talk about or keep track of are, you know, which and when the poisons are in cycle, keeping the tombstones behind the tower that your opponent is attacking, and also just making that one big play with the NATO coupled with the baby dragon if they have it in hand.
I have a feeling that IMJP is going to go all out here, not one to sit back, not one to play patient. I really feel like he's going to want to finish this thing and finish it strong.
Yeah, I mean, IMJP being known as kind of a quick striking player once he recognizes the weakness or his opponent's misplay. Graveyard is a deck that really, really shines with that quality.
Baby Dragon there, a nice card to clean out the way for that, and a beautiful tornado.
2 excellent NATOs, and IMJP has to give him credit. It looked like that cannon cart was going to be a devastating connection, but that NATO was excellently played by Pepe.
Yeah, 2 MVP tornado plays back-to-back to counter and then counter.
Really one of the most versatile cards in the entire game, and we've seen here at CRL how many times a NATO pulling a card into another lane or a NATO pulling all the units on top of the Princess Tower has been the deciding factor in a lot of games and matches.
It's another card that gets misunderstood by newer players, Andrew, because it's not really a damage dealer. Yes, it has a small amount of damage, but you know, newer players will look at that and go, it doesn't really deal damage, it doesn't really work on its own. But the big thing to remember is that the Tornado is a combination card. There are so many wonderful synergies. Of course, you have the Ice Wizard, which is really well known for, but then you can think about the Executioner, the Baby Dragon, the Bowler even, and then not to mention putting it in combination with buildings.
Yeah, or with spells. You know, there's just so many great uses, and even with the slight nerf that it got a couple of months ago, or maybe now even several months ago, it's just one of those things. It was so powerful before, even with that lack or the reduction of its duration. It's still implemented so much. It's so powerful, and now you see that graveyard connecting in the top left by IMJP. Wow. And
there you go. That's what you felt about IMJP. He was going to come out and try to go for the kill. Look, he's had some huge moments here, especially early on in the season. There was the King of the Hill when he clutched to against SK Gaming, taking out Morton and Matt01. There was a King of the Hill sweep against Sheer, Fairchew, and Canario.
And when you look at this replay here, you see both of those excellent, excellent tornadoes. You see how useful it is in the hands of the best players in the world. And then right here at the very end, you see IMJP going all in, and Pepe just not really having a lot of elixir to respond. You think it could be because the Prince is down on the right-hand side of the screen. That is a 5 elixir card.
And one more sweep to mention there about IMJP, the full sweep of Team Liquid. So you look at our playoff teams, you look at SK Gaming, look at G2, look at Team Liquid. He has gone head-to-head with the best of those squads and taken them out. So I expect him to do the same thing, try to close this thing out here in game number 2. Game number 2 underway. Good luck from both players so far. We have 3 Dignitas logos on the left-hand side. IMJP trying to add one more.
Pepe here trying to take this match to King of the Hill for his team. And again, that is the exact same interaction we started the last game with.
Is this a video of the first one?
And it doesn't get the hit this time on the tower, that Ice Wiz being just a hair higher up this time. And now a Flying Machine coming out, so a bit of a change from Pepe.
That Electro Wizard is going to get eaten alive here at the river.
Yeah. kind of surprised at that high play.
And a cheeky move there from IMJP. Doesn't quite pull it off, but you like the idea.
Yeah, I love the idea there, and you see him say oops, but you definitely got to applaud the effort there at what he was going for. He was hoping that that cannon cart would just ignore both those units and get on the tower.
Well, those are the kind of plays that have built his reputation this season. Those big, high-risk, high-reward moves that, if they pay off, change everything. And they have for him. They have for him, and most importantly, 8 times in King of the Hill.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about IMJP's gameplay that maybe is the reason he's kind of started to slip a little bit in that sense, because a lot of the top players in this game, in that we've seen throughout the season, you know, in the Royals, the Vulcans, the Canarios, is that they're very slow and methodical. They're not as big of burst players like IMJP is. Now, he comes out on top a lot in those situations, but these pros don't make a ton of mistakes.
Yeah, you mentioned Royal on that list, of course. Those of you who were watching North America the other day saw him kind of take a page from IMJP's book and go all out.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little bit different than what we've seen him playing. He usually is a much slower player, but yeah, he was very aggressive with that Golem deck.
Magic Archer getting a lot of damage on tower. This cannon cart trying to sneak through. Bar Barrel, though, stopping it from getting across.
Great use of the bar barrel. Stop that cannon cart at the river before it becomes a real threat.
We're in double elixir time, Andrew, and Pepe has not taken a single hit point of damage on either tower.
Yeah, he's done a very, very great job defending here, but IMJP most likely playing that graveyard deck, and Pepe, you got to think, yeah, I was going to say Poison and P.E.K.K.A. maybe is the last 2 cards for him. Could be a Mega Knight, but that Poison now being out of cycle, knowing that IMJP has graveyard, he's got to do a lot of work here stopping any units from coming across.
Well, it's been the aggressive pressure of Pepe's bridge spam, and here we go. That's going to get some damage on the left-hand side.
Yep, and that early Barbarian Barrel coming out to get the tank out of the way. Your log value or your log card is out of rotation, but doing an excellent job defensively.
So it really has seemed like it's been Pepe's game the entire way through, but as we get into sudden death overtime, things are more even than it felt like.
Yeah, absolutely, and JP playing great defense right there, cleaning everything up with the poison. It looked like it may not do the trick, but absolutely it does. Very, very great defensive play by IMJP, but that Magic Archer needs to get taken down now.
Yeah, that Magic Archer has gotten on tower over and over and over again in these bridge interactions.
Wow, and then now IMJP is in a very tough spot because that P.E.K.K.A. walking backwards. Ooh, actually, you know what? That flying machine moving in front of it changes everything here. He's not going to have as strong of a push coming down the lane.
So how does he contend with both the P.E.K.K.A. and the Battle Ram here, and a nice job with the Tornado?
Yeah, absolutely. You know that Pepe was hoping that Battle Ram would sneak around the P.E.K.K.A. The P.E.K.K.A. would be tanking for the Battle Ram and then getting that connection as we've seen a bunch of times before. And this is a lot to deal with. I don't know if IMJP can actually defend against this. The Battle Ram coming down, he's got 6 elixir. He needs a Tombstone, not going to be enough. Great job by Pepe to even this set up.
And a well played from IMJP. The poison comes down to make things official. We will be seeing a game number 3.
You wonder if some of those aggressive plays by IMJP were just a little bit too aggressive. Having that first game in hand, having a good graveyard deck with a lot of defensive capabilities, maybe he got a little ahead of himself with that early NATO, that Barbarian graveyard. But wow, even upset here, Rich.
But like you said, Andrew, that's who he is.
Yes.
He is a player who goes big in every single moment, and it sometimes pays off, sometimes doesn't, and here it just didn't quite get the job done.
Yeah, and you see Pepe doing a wonderful job with that Magic Archer throughout this entire game, getting a ton of value on tower, keeping him safe behind his units, and dropping them, honestly, as soon as you get it back in rotation. And now you see it's just a little bit more than JP could deal with, not playing his defense as efficiently as he would have liked.
So here we are, game number 3 about to get underway. Pepe acquitting himself well, taking openings of the knockout artist IMJP into his own hands. So let's see if he can send this thing to King of the Hill. So a little kissy face and some good luck here from Pepe.
And a nice and slow start here to get our 3rd game going. You see the Hunter, you see the Mega Minion. Anytime you see Hunter, you usually think Giant. Or you can also think Three Musketeers. Pops up a good amount in those decks.
Yeah, we've said this before, but Hunter getting introduced now earlier in your arena, leveling up, has really changed the way we see it coming from newer players.
Absolutely, and I love that they give that high skill cap card to the players earlier in the game, giving them more time throughout their ladder adventure, I should say, to work on that card, because it is a high skill cap card, doing so much damage but being so squishy.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that, you know, there aren't a lot of really complicated cards you encounter early on in your career for playing Clash Royale. And that one, you know, I get questions about that from friends who are not as experienced as the pros they're seeing here about that card. And a lot of them don't realize it's such a valuable card to use against a tank specifically.
Absolutely. It just feels like it's so easy to take out that you don't want to just drop it right in front of a tank, but it does such a great job. And you saw Pepe calling good game a moment ago, seeing that IMJP has the Furnace. Ooh. And the whole room kind of blew up in that moment with that missed fireball. That was a huge missed fireball.
Yeah, I mean, the missed fireball, you have two fireball bait cards, but the Furnace then taking care of all of them. So not taking care of the Magic Archer or the Royal Hogs, the Furnace picking them up. Now, even though the Furnace did pick them up, he took some damage on the right-hand side and is now behind by about 3 elixir.
Absolutely. IMJP making a huge mistake there with that missed fireball. He kind of had a big advantage. You even saw, as I was saying before, Pepe saying good game, recognizing that IMJP has the Furnace, which is such an incredible counter to his win condition in the Royal Hogs. But IMJP with a small, or actually kind of a big misplay, if you look at it with that missed fireball now, is in a major damage deficit.
And it didn't look like everything at the moment. So when you're thinking from just what's happening right in front of us in that second, and we see a Royal Giant now getting on tower, but still the Royal Hogs coming down the opposite lane, and wow, those Fire Spirits have been a big part of defense for that as of late.
Yeah, it's so interesting when you see cards come kind of into play that we don't really see often on ladder or even early on in the season here at CRL, but with the Royal Hogs being so powerful and the Fire Spirits being such a cheap and effective counter, we've seen them now pop up a couple times in 1v1.
So to get back to that thought about that missed fireball, Andrew, it's not so much what happened in that moment, but the effect it has later. And while those cards did get picked up, having to spend that 4 elixir changes the way this whole game is played. And you still see at this point IMJP playing from behind on elixir. Yeah,
he is. He's playing great defense here. But with the deck that Pepe's running, with a lot of cheap cards other than the Royal Hogs, he's able to keep the pressure up, and he's kind of not necessarily bridge spamming, but kind of.
One swing from our Barbarian there, and again, the Fire Spirits doing their job. So much damage for just 2 elixir.
That's what he wants to happen every single time for IMJP. That's the exact interaction he wants all the way across the board. The Fireball hitting the Magic Archer and the Tombstone, not nothing. And the Furnace picking up all of those Royal Hogs for a great positive elixir trade. And, you know, that building's still going to be on the battlefield.
He did not miss that Fireball.
No, he did not. Feeling that. I mean, as I said, the first time when that Fireball was missed, both benches gasped.
Well, we are about 1 minute and 10 seconds into our sudden death overtime, and IMJP has done a good job of battling back into this game.
And you see IMJP's idea there of getting the Barbarian Barrel out to clean up the Magic Archer, and ideally would have also turned around the Hunter, taking one of its shots and letting that Royal Giant stay alive just a tad bit longer. So now in the next push from IMJP, it's going to be very interesting to see how he drops, or in which order he drops his units and where.
So expect the Fireball potentially to come in and clear. No, he's going to let that go with the Royal Giant, choosing to save and deal with the Magic Archer or the Hogs, although the Royal Hogs so far have been dealt with by a combination of the Fire Spirit and the Furnace.
Yeah, and Pepe kind of recognizing what IMJP's battle plan is there with the Bar Barrel to turn his Hunter around, keeps changing its positioning. A very, very great small adjustment, but is a huge, huge game changer.
And you see the wow there because IMJP realizing he's forced to spend more than he wanted to on that defense.
Yeah, and everything getting in that poison, giving Pepe a ton of value. And now, what honestly appeared like was a match that IMJP should have had in the bag with the matchup, in the sense of having the Furnace, having the Fire Spirits, and the Hunter to deal with those Royal Hogs. He looks like he may actually lose this game.
Still 30 seconds remaining and has to deal with this Royal Hog push. And again, a low furnace, the poison, and one hog getting on the tower. As you said, Andrew, this looked like it was IMJP's game to win, and now he has to do everything he can to pull this into a draw in these final 14.
Yes, absolutely, a draw, Rich. That is a very, very good point. That Magic Archer not shooting the direction that Pepe wanted and just barely getting away with one is IMJP. 608 to 288. And we are going to game number 4.
And you see JP turn and look at his bench, kind of blow out a sigh of relief. A couple of big misplays with the fireball, and that ended up taking a game that seemed like it was his and putting him on his back foot.
100%. He should have had that game in the bag, but Pepe did an excellent job of this fireball, this missed fireball. He's going for the Tombstone and the Magic Archer Connect. He misses both. Then he doesn't have it to respond to the Royal Hogs, and he doesn't have enough elixir to furnace up. And that was the moment right there where Pepe decided, okay, this is my only chance to stay in this game. I've got to keep the pressure up for the next 4 minutes, essentially, or however long was left. And you saw IMJP's last-ditch effort there. Sorry, what were you saying?
Well, that Mega Minion that we just saw, that had been the problem for IMJP the entire time, playing troops when that Magic Archer's on the outside, playing them right down the lane of the bridge,
right,
and getting it on tower. That time plays it outside, saves the game, and puts himself into a good spot here going into game number 4. A good spot in game number 4 for IMJP, Andrew, and let me tell you why. Because game number 4 for 1v1 is always lowest tower rules, and this is where he has shined with a record of 8-3 in King of the Hill.
Yes, absolutely. This is essentially a lowest tower King of the Hill game, and that is a place, as you said, where IMJP has been very, very effective for his squad, taking down some of the biggest names in the world with the most pressure on.
Well, one thing that sets him apart from a lot of other people is that he is good at recognizing when it's time to start putting burst damage and spell cycle on tower.
Yeah, instead of kind of the slow burn chipping away throughout the entire match, IMJP is really the guy that hits you all at once.
Pepe, not the same success in lowest tower situations, 3-5 in King of the Hill. And of course, you have that strange double draw match where his third game was a lowest tower style.
And with this draw today here, he's the only player in 1v1 that has 3 draws. So probably going to see that Golem beatdown deck coming out of IMJP here. He could have a Giant in there, but looking mostly like a Golem.
So looking at IMJP from a spell perspective, if we do think we're going to get into that lowest tower situation, you really have to love the Zap and Fireball combination. Although Zap not as strong as a log, a little bit faster might be more valuable.
Yeah, and now you see right here, that was a lot of damage coming down for IMJP, and he didn't even have to really get his win condition across the board. A great NATO to pull the Royal Ghost, to the King Tower, also adding a lot of utility now in taking out those Royal Hogs.
So some early shade here from IMJP.
Yeah, and with this being a lowest tower situation, just about to getting to double elixir, you're going to see the Golem come down, and this is going to be a really, really hard one for Pepe to come back from just because of that initial damage. Now, he has a P.E.K.K.A, a great counter to the Golem, but he did take about 1,000 damage early on.
So you got to wonder if that P.E.K.K.A is going to be enough. It can assuredly play defense, but defense is not what Pepe needs at this point in time.
Yeah, and a pretty good NATO there, even though IMJP is saying oops a bunch. Well, now it's because he doesn't have any elixir, and he's got a lot to deal with. Fireball coming in, great job. I actually liked that NATO. Even though he didn't get everything he wanted out of it, it did provide just a little bit more damage to that right-hand tower.
And the Magic Archer does get one shot on the right-hand side, 22 seconds left in our regulation time. And here we go. It's now Pepe turning it up, saying, I'm not going to save this P.E.K.K.A to play defense. We're going hard in the paint.
And that NATO is going to, okay, good. That Fireball coming down. Once that Mega Minion was out of play, that Magic Archer would have focused on the Prince and then hit the tower. So, interesting with Pepe's Lightning being his last card, a very high damage spell, which you know is why.
A very high damage spell, yes.
Which is, you know, why he has it in his deck, or in this in his hand instead of the poison, which is more traditionally used.
and making sure, now interesting, not getting that on tower, I guess feeling pretty comfortable at this stage, using it to clean up troops and keep damage off his own.
Yeah, this is a lot coming down the lane for Pepe to deal with. I don't believe he's going to be able to play the defense that he needs, and with that NATO, that is going to be it.
And there you go. JP getting a big, look at that, he's fired up. He doesn't care what the stakes are at this moment. For him, the stakes are still important because they are personal.
Absolutely, he is still a professional player here at CRL, getting a win for his team, making them look just that much better at the end of the season. And IMJP, with a couple of misplays throughout that 1v1 set, ends up coming out on top. Great play with that golem beatdown deck, Rich.
Well, you want to talk about why that matters to him so much? After being the 1v1 star for his squad and the King of the Hill star, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches in a row where he lost the 1v1 set, often in very trying, tough circumstances. So this meant a lot to him here, proving it to himself that he could play in this set and showing that he is the player everyone thought he was at the start of the season.
Yeah, and maybe it was just that little bit of a break that he needed from the 1v1 set to build his confidence back up. You take that many losses, and it's really, really hard to keep your head in the game. Now, this is that early push and great defense by IMJP. You see the Baby Dragon getting on the tower, the Mega Minion taking care of that Magic Archer, and just a excellent job there of offense and defense from IMJP. And then you see right here this great last little push, just too much to deal with. The Barbarian is popped by that Prince's Lance, and that is going to be it. You get that NATO in with the Baby Dragon. Such a wonderful combination, those two cards together. And as you said, IMJP is hyped.
You see the rush of emotion, and that, again, this is how he plays. He plays with heart, he plays hard, and it's paid off sometimes this season, not paid off other times, but a win that we both know is very, very important for the golden-haired golden boy from Barcelona, Spain. Let's go hear what he has to say about this moment for him and for his team as he sits down with Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. IMJP taking the 1v1 set and the sweep. How's it feel?
La verdad que muy bien, llevaba una serie de derrotas consecutivas, una mala suerte, pero bueno, al final me he podido reponer y poner a ganar el 1 contra 1.
Really good. I feel really well because I had a bad streak of losses and finally I could break it.
Now I have to ask you, in that third game, you played for a draw. Tell me about those mistakes that missed Fireball.
Sí, la verdad que fallé una bola de fuego al arquero. Luego también he tenido una mala suerte de que un arquero me ha matado unos espíritus de fuego y me ha obligado a sobredefender también los puercos. Pepe me ha jugado súper bien, pero bueno, al final he podido empatar, por suerte.
I missed a fireball and then I had bad luck because the Magic Archer killed the fire spirits, but finally I could tie and it's good.
And you took it and super bien. Exacto. Well, thanks so much for talking to me. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. A big-time play from IMJP. Of course, while he does get the win here for his squad, it doesn't have much effect on our standings.
Yeah, as we look at these standings, as I said at the beginning of the match, this is kind of a bottom of the standings battle, really kind of taking their big lead over Team Misfits here. Team Dignitas is now 5-8. Misfits is 1-12. But up next, we've got a big one at the top of the standings, Rich.
Yeah, this one does have a lot of effect because Team Queso looking to secure that #1 spot, which gets them those first 2-round buys in the playoffs. SK Gaming trying to put a cushion between themselves and the late season surge of Team Liquid.
The end of one great match always leads to the start of another. Next up, 4th place SK Gaming against the top-ranked cheesy ones of Team Queso. The playoffs are right around the corner. Can SK stay in the top 4, or will Queso lock up the #1 seed?
Our second match of the day features one squad looking to secure first place, the other looking to secure a spot in the playoffs. Matt01 itching for revenge after the last time these two squads met, trying to get that victory, but across from him, St. Bellican went marching through their lineup. A 3-game King of the Hill sweep, wants to do it one more time. A wonderful first match appetizer, but #2 today is our main course. It's Team Queso facing off against SK Gaming.
Yeah, huge match for SK today. They are coming out with Loai, Morton, Matt01, and Flobby, and of course their opponents, the cheesy ones, top of the standings. We got Kuchiku, Benny Hu, St. Bellican, and of course, So King.
It went all the way to King of the Hill last time, where St. Bellican, the British bomber, showed up for his squad, taking a beautiful 3-game sweep against SK Gaming. And to hear what he has in store for his opponents today, let's go to Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. So last time you faced SK, you won the match, but you didn't do as well in the 2v2. So how have you changed your strategy since then?
So last time we tried to go with a weird mortar deck because we saw it work in CRL, and it didn't really work out for us in our match against SK. So today we're not going to use mortar. We've got a new strategy which we think is a secret, and you'll see it in a few minutes.
Now, I know your strategy is very, very affected by the bans. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how it affects how you play?
So the bans in 2v2 are really important because bans like Miner means you can't really use Lava Hound, but then they ban Lava Hound, which is interesting, which makes P.E.K.K.A better because P.E.K.K.A is generally better against ground decks and not good against Lava.
Mind games on mind games on mind games. Yeah. So last question. You've talked about communication a lot. Obviously, it's very important in the 2v2. How do you, because you're the only person on your team who doesn't speak Spanish, kind of cross that language barrier?
Well, luckily, my teammates speak a good enough amount of English so that I can talk to them in English in the 2v2. So we're fine for that.
Gotcha. Well, I'm excited to see you play today. Thanks so much for talking to me. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. The language barrier certainly has not stopped Bellican from being fantastic here with this Spanish squad. Queso currently sitting in #1. SK Gaming fighting for a spot in their playoffs. So let's go into the war rooms and see how both of these coaches get their teams mentally ready for this big-time matchup.
¿No quieres jugar hoy?
Tengo un frío.
Prefiero si ganamos 2-0.
Yo también. Oye, molaría si tuviéramos sudadera, ¿no? Como...
¿Te imaginas?
Porque tengo un frío.
Hello guys, here we go again.
Miau.
Estamos aquí, otro día más. There is 2 matches left. 2 partidos nada más. Today SK and next week Allegiance.
Y uno de
Si ganamos uno más, somos primeros, ¿vale? One more, only one more, and we will straight to the final. Hemos trabajado muchísimo para estar aquí, ¿vale? O sea, mucho, mucho, mucho. Así que os quiero a tope, a tope. Okay, 2v2, Lava Hound and Miner ban. So, what do you have in mind?
El de P.E.K.K.A con Hobbies. Ese lo digo.
Que el P.E.K.K.A con el ban de lava es buenísimo.
Y lo de los hobbies, o sea, sin haber ban de bola, no se lo esperan.
No se lo esperan, eso es.
Y es muy buen mazo.
Sí.
Y luego en el 1 para 1 te vuelve a tocar contra Matt, que ya le ganaste la otra vez, acuérdate. Esta vez son Lápida y Veneno. Yo ahí veo un golem Bruja Nocturna.
Sí, un golem va a caer, seguro.
Un golem va a caer.
A ver, chico.
Escuchi, un golem va a caer seguro. Vale, chicos, insisto, uno más, ¿vale? Si ganamos hoy, tenemos vacaciones hasta la final, ¿vale?
Bueno,
¿Sí?
a ver, a mí me gustaría también ganar el siguiente partido, pero
sí,
sé que ya sería más de relax.
Son detalles, ¿vale? Venga, a la de 3 queso, vamos.
Venga.
1, 2, 3, queso. Me falta Gunther.
Today, think about guys as, you know, the reason why you're playing Clash Royale and the reason why you start to play Clash Royale is because you wanted to have fun. You just wanted to play a game in the comfort of your home and, you know, you just wanted to relax after a long day. You log in the game, hey, I'm having fun playing a game that I like. And I feel like today's day is about that, you know. When we come to this competition, with all the hard work that we put, with the effort, with all the talks that we have, we forget that at the end of the day, this is also a game. We're here for a reason, but we're also here because playing games is our passion, right?
Yes, definitely.
On 3? You say it.
1, 2, 3.
SK Gaming!
2v2 is like watching a group of royal hogs rush towards a trough full of slop. Pushing, shoving, lots of mudslinging, and of course, everyone gets filthy. Time for the 2v2 smorgasbord. Let the dirt fly.
Last time these squads faced off, Team Queso ran, as he mentioned before, that unfortunate minor combination that did not pay off. St. Bellican saying they have something new in store for SK today.
Absolutely. SK coming out with Loweye, who's 4-2 in 2v2 sets, and Morton, who has been their 2v2 specialist at 6-2 overall in sets. And you heard him talk about it just a moment ago. St. Bellican is hopping into the 2v2 again, 4-2 overall as well. And So King is actually moving from the 1v1 into the 2v2. And I'm very curious, Rich, to see what decks or what surprises Team Queso has in store for us today.
Well, those surprises will be relative to those bans. As St. Bellican already told you, the bans for this matchup, it's going to be Lava Hound and Miner inactive for all of our potential 3 games.
Yeah, absolutely. You heard Bellican talk about how the P.E.K.K.A becomes so much more effective when these bans are implemented. You know, there's no air units to worry about, so I'm very curious to see what they're going to bring to the table.
Soking looking to change the script here in their second 2v2 matchup.
Okay, let's go. Here we go, this.
2v2 underway. St. Bellican and Soking for Team Queso, top of your screen. Loi and Morton for SK at the bottom. The last time these two teams met, it was a clean sweep for SK Gaming. One of the only 3 times that Queso has lost the 2v2 set. 2 of those 3 times when they've lost the set, they've lost the entire match.
Yeah, very, very different season stories for these teams. SK has never actually won 3 in a row. They've won 2 in a row a handful of times, or a couple times, I should say, whereas Team Queso didn't even find a loss until week 5, Rich.
So SK Gaming showing Royal Giant with that Giant Skeleton combination, and and Team Queso choosing to go fast and loose with the Royal Hogs.
Absolutely, fast and loose with the Royal Hogs, but they've also got that P.E.K.K.A in hand, which you probably expected based off of Bellican's interview before the match. Interesting to see how that P.E.K.K.A is going to match up against the Royal Giant pushes. And that double Mega Minion, usually not your best idea to drop 2 right on top of each other, but doing a great job defensively.
Yeah, you wonder if there was a communication lapse in that moment. And the extra slow of that snowball, people want to talk about this a lot, but the Giant Snowball update added 0.5 seconds to the slowdown, and using that in conjunction with other defense for the Royal Hogs, looking like an actually pretty good option.
Yeah, looks like they're moving in slow motion between the Ice Wizard and the Snowball, moving towards that Tombstone, not getting a lot of damage down as Team Queso, but still in the damage lead.
So SK has to make some very interesting choices here, running these Royal Giants as their win condition, and that P.E.K.K.A is going to be quite a challenge. Combined with the cannon, that's going to cause a lot of issues for this Royal Giant.
Oh, and those Royal Hogs did not come down when they wanted. You got to think that was a bit of a slight overlook from Team Queso, knowing that that Giant Skeleton had just went down. Dropping the Royal Hogs on top of the Death Bomb is just a waste of 5 Elixir.
So both teams choosing to go with some fairly aggressive Lumberjacks, looking to get them across the river, of course, to set up potential raged up pushes. And here we see, again, the timing not quite there to get those Royal Hogs raged up and on that tower.
Yeah, I mean, they still got to hit off, Rich, but you're exactly correct in the sense that they're dropping their Royal Hogs right into the fire, or the poison, I should say. And then, you know, the last time was right into the bomb. So Team Queso not getting as much utility out of the Royal Hogs as they could be.
So P.E.K.K.A is in cycle and will get some swings on that Royal Giant. You know, you got to wonder what their strategy is to keep that P.E.K.K.A from getting those big hits on their win condition.
Yeah, I mean, I know that they're trying to stop it with a Giant Skeleton, but it's just not doing enough defensively for it. And now with the P.E.K.K.A out of cycle, this is kind of a good moment for them to get a couple hits on that tower.
And I think that's going to be the big key here for them, Andrew, is finding a way to double up, keep cycling those Royal Giants, and catch that P.E.K.K.A when he is not in hand. Sorry.
Yes, yeah. And so they're going for it again right now. And you got the mini P.E.K.K.A now being dropped in there to help clean up that big Mama P.E.K.K.A, doing a good amount of damage, but still not stopping it in time.
So we are 30 seconds into sudden death overtime, and it is still pretty tight. Typically, so far, it has been good defense for SK, stopping the brunt of those Royal Hog pushes. Neither squad really popping off here yet.
Yeah, both these teams in a very interesting position, almost always getting damage effectively with their offensive pushes, whether it's the Royal Giant or the Royal Hogs, usually getting one hit in. Both these teams really, really having to play defense because you do not want to be the one that's just caught a couple hundred damage behind.
Queso a little bit ahead here now in the final 2 minutes of play.
And that one bat getting that hit in is every single one of these chips is monumental for Team Queso.
That P.E.K.K.A cannon combination is so brutal against that Royal Giant.
And you hear the bench of Team Queso getting excited, knowing that they can see victory within their grasp. They just need to play smart defense as they have been for the rest of this game.
So that's a lot of spell being put down to deal, make sure that Magic Archer doesn't get on tower. So the question will be, what does SK Gaming have in their hand to deal with the next Royal Hog push? It doesn't matter, spell cycles out, Team Queso takes game number 1.
And this is what you love about Team Queso. They're 10-2, top of the standings, nothing to lose, have already clinched playoffs, and they are electric when their team does exactly what they want.
So let's take a look at this replay, Andrew. Talk us through this interaction at the river.
Yeah, so you see them continuing to drop the Royal Giant down, trying to break through, and they're doing a good job defending it and supporting it. Just supporting it. But Team Queso's defense is too strong. That P.E.K.K.A doing way too much damage, making very quick work of that Royal Giant, Rich.
So here we go. Team Queso taking the all-important first game of 2v2. Remember that every time they have won the 2v2 set, they have won the match overall. A good start here for the cheesy ones.
Okay, let's go. We can do this.
Yeah, let's go. This one game. Let's go.
Okay.
Game number 2, and looks like Team Queso changing things up a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. Going with their Royal Giant of their own. We got a Baby Drag, a Lumberjack, so you got some beatdown capabilities in there. And with SK, it looks like they're kind of going with the same as their first game.
They must believe that they have the rhythm to make this thing work. Very confident in this deck overall. This is not the first time they have run the double Royal Giant, Giant Skeleton.
Yeah, that Dark Goblin getting a lot of utility, just barely staying alive and taking out both of those defensive units from SK. So you see now SK is going with, again, the double Royal Giant, and they don't have the P.E.K.K.A in hand. They have the mini P.E.K.K.A in hand, and that is going to be a very interesting change here. You saw how effective that big Mamba P.E.K.K.A was for TQ in the very first game. It'll be interesting to see how they stop him in this one.
Well, and how effective this Royal Giant is, taking that tower down to 1180. So with the first minute of play down, it is SK Gaming out to the lead.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at Queso, and their best response to stop that Royal Giant is the Lumberjack as of what they have in hand right now. And that Giant Skeleton is not going to provide as much defensive power as the P.E.K.K.A was for them in the very first game.
So Morten the German and Loai also playing for Germany, or playing for Netherlands and CR Nations, but also living in Germany as well. Teaming up once again. They've had mixed success overall together this season, taking a set loss to Fnatic, but a set win over Misfits.
And now we see Queso coming in with the Royal Giant push of their own, but not having as much success as SK. They're a great tombstone from Loai and Morten, and awesome defense from them as well. And now you see him breaking through those raged up guards, and SK is really up against the ropes. Or excuse me, Team Queso is really up against the ropes.
In sudden death overtime, down to 136. So far, it has been SK Gaming with the better defensive answers. Team Queso seemingly not putting in the best responses to a tank compared to their opponents.
Yeah, really missing that P.E.K.K.A in this second game here. Even a mini P.E.K.K.A would be great. Now, they've, like as I said before, that Lumberjack is doing some work for him, but just not as effective as those other two cards just mentioned.
And that Death Bomb taking care of the Baby Dragon, so Morten and Loai just need to put up a good defensive posture here. That Royal Giant could be a problem, though.
Wow, what a great bit of Fireball value, but that Royal Giant raged up, getting a couple hits in. The Fireball's coming in. Do they have another spell? It doesn't look like it. And SK just sneaking by with this one over Queso.
Wow, 61 HP. Team Queso, and you saw it was that Dark Goblin could have come in and finished things off.
Yep.
So many moments, but it was SK Gaming staring them in the eye, standing strong in the last few moments, sending us to game number 3 of this set.
Yeah, you see right here, this big push coming in for SK. The Lumberjack up front getting pulled by the guards, but now everything is raged up, and that Royal Giant is going to to town on the tower. It does get reset. It focuses on the tombstone, but a great log comes in from SK to refocus it, and that is how they took the edge in this second game.
Very interesting here, Andrew, because the last time these two faced off, it was Morton and Loweye versus Benny and Belkin, and they were running, Team Queso was running that mortar deck, and their second game, they simply had no answers for tanks, and again, no answers for tanks.
Let's do this. Okay.
Yeah, Rich, to finish out that thought that you were talking about, not having a tank, it was very surprising to see them pull the P.E.K.K.A. out with how effective it was in the first game, and also with the Lava Hound being banned. It just seems like the P.E.K.K.A. is kind of a card you'd want to keep in either of your hands, at least one of them. And now you see them again. It might be deeper in the stack here, but they've got the Mini P.E.K.K.A. as a response. Mini P.E.K.K.A. is going to be better than the Lumberjack was last game, but I still think that Big Mama P.E.K.K.A. should be in either of their hands here.
Well, we'll see what happens with that as a response. Of course, they're learning from now making that same mistake twice, once in their first matchup, again, this time today, having no response to a tank at the river. But you're thinking about the responses to a Royal Giant, and I'm wondering if a Mini P.E.K.K.A. and Cannon together are sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, and we might find out here in a minute when TQ goes to defend against SK's Royal Giant push, which you got to imagine is going to be coming here in the next 20 seconds or so once they get the Elixir up. And this is a great counter push coming in for SK. You know, not a ton of damage, but it was a very nice exchange for them.
It's that Giant Skeleton Death Bomb, such a wild card in terms of can your troops escape it in time to get damage done.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've never even seen the Giant Skeleton in the 1v1, but in 2v2 it's become quite a staple because that Death Bomb is so effective at stopping your opponent's counter push. That's really the greatest thing about it, is stopping counter push potential.
So SK tries to switch lanes, but they get stopped right at the river, and now a big push in the right-hand lane coming down for Team Queso.
Yeah, and that Lumberjack needs to get dropped in on the Royal Giant, but it focuses on, instead, the Giant Skeleton, and now they're going to get a couple of great hits in Team Queso.
And resetting that Inferno Dragon over and over and over again, letting that Royal Giant get on tower. We are entering into double Elixir time, and it is the #1 team in Europe with a significant lead in the right-hand lane.
Absolutely, with only 1339 on that bottom right tower, and with the statistic of the fact that TQ has never lost a game. Queso does not lose when they win in the 2v2. SK has to take this set. They need to bounce back right now.
And those 3 shots at 254, 4 shots each, right-hand tower down. That is a big moment with just 40 seconds left. And SK Gaming not getting much of an Elixir advantage in that moment.
Yeah, having nothing to push in the left-hand lane, dropping that Royal Giant on top of a still very alive Mini P.E.K.K.A. This is going to be Team Queso taking the 2v2 set. And now let's see if they can continue the trend going into the 1v1, and SK really, really needs to bring something here in the next set.
And Queso throwing out the dab, just really put their dominance, put their mark on this game. Really, I think that Mini P.E.K.K.A. was an effective and great call to put into this deck.
Yeah, absolutely. They recognized that the Lumberjack just wasn't doing it for them, and they worked on the placement of their Mini P.E.K.K.A. Now you saw when SK placed their Mini P.E.K.K.A. and it was distracted by the Giant Skeleton, it just wasn't as effective. Team Queso using that tank killer very, very well throughout this set. And actually, this is the moment that I'm talking about. You see that Lumberjack coming down for SK, focusing on the Giant Skeleton. I misspoke a moment ago when I said Mini P.E.K.K.A. I meant to say Lumberjack, but that did not focus on the unit it needed to. And that with the Fireball, there's so much Elixir being spent and still so much damage coming down on that tower, Rich.
You know, we talk so often about cards being a little bit late. That might have been just a half step early.
Yeah.
Not picking up the card that it wanted. And at 254 per, 2, 3, 4 shots from a Royal Giant changes everything. So now we are in a very tough position for SK Gaming. Last time it was Matt-01 against Kuchiku, and Kuchiku came out on top in 3 games. SK Gaming really needing a win here to send this thing to King of the Hill and put themselves in a great spot because they still have Team Liquid coming up this Saturday.
Yeah, and Team Liquid is chomping at their heels. They got to make it to the playoffs, and one of the most dangerous teams in the world, and no one wants them to get in that 4th place spot. So let's see what these guys have here in 1v1.
2 teams in the top 4. Playoffs right around the corner. Matt-01 and Kuchiku. This match has it all, except for a clever zinger from your king. Oh, wait for it. Wait for it. Sorry, I'm fresh out. Come back to me after the battle.
1v1, a rematch From the last time these two squads met, it was Kuchiku coming out on top in 3, Matt 0-1, wanting to get revenge and send his squad to King of the Hill.
Absolutely, Matt 0-1 here coming out for SK Gaming. He's 2-3 overall in 1v1 sets and 8-10 overall in head-to-head play. Kuchiku, on the other hand, this is one of the most dangerous things about Liquid. He is 16-3 overall in sets, and he's never lost a 1v1, Rich.
Dangerous things about Queso, indeed. And let's take a look at our ban cards for all potential 3 games of this 1v1 set. Poison, fairly common, and more recently, it's that Tombstone.
Yeah, Tombstone and Poison, both those cards providing so much utility here in the 1v1 set. It's going to be very interesting to see what they implement instead of that Poison. Kuchiku
quietly amassing a 16-3 game record, looking to add 2 more to that total. Team Queso's Kuchiku at the top, throwing out the OP Kuchiku emote one more time, and Matt 0-1 breaking his finger on the dab button.
Yes, Team Queso, excuse me.
We say a lot of things here, Andrew.
We sure do. Well, the thing is with the loss today from SK, it makes that playoff path for Queso so much easier, and that was what we were talking about here while this match was getting set up.
Playoff path for Liquid.
Liquid, yes, my gosh.
Well, right now, the path to the tower is set for Matt 0-1, trying to build up behind that golem. A very nicely played fireball, though, from Kuchiku.
Yeah, and we see all the pros doing this. When you see a golem and a Night Witch push coming down the lane, you got to take care of that Night Witch. She is the most dangerous part of the push. Now, you see the golem getting to the tower, and the golemites isn't that bad, but if the bats were there, it would be brutal.
So it's Kuchiku with about a 2 elixir lead. That tower should take care of the Mega Minion in 3 shots. There we go. So Kuchiku now dropping his own golem here. You know, and you look at that early deck, and some people might look and read, oh, there's some shades of Graveyard there, but very unlikely with the Lumberjack involved.
Yes, exactly. The Lumberjack in that deck tells you it is probably, or most likely, I mean, really like 95% going to be a Golem beatdown deck. And really interesting here to see the Skeletons in Kuchiku's and the Bandit here and damage in, adding a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, both players.
You saw Matt there attacking the tower, getting just a...
Going a little untraditional with some of their deck construction, and this is a huge push from the right-hand side. That's going to be tower.
Absolutely. You see that Matt only had about 3 elixir, and there was a Golem, a Lumberjack, and a Baby Dragon coming down the lane, and now he just needs to avoid the 3 crown and create a push of his own. He could still easily take that right-hand tower, Rich, but the problem is Kuchiku's happy to sacrifice the right to take the left.
So Matt goleming up behind his tower.
Kuchiku goes, no, man, I am going to play right into you. This is going to be the hardest tower that you've ever tried to take.
And again, Fireball getting a ton of value on all those troops.
And that Lumberjack just going to town on the Golem.
30 seconds left. Going to be a tall order for Matt to take this right-hand tower, but he does have a lot coming down the lane. And I don't know if that tornado did Kuchiku any favors.
It definitely did not do all the things that he needed or wanted it to do, so now Matt has kind of evened this game up. He's definitely taken a tower, obviously. However, his King Tower is only at 1,400 HP, which leaves a big door open for Kuchiku. Kuchiku can choose where to attack from, and if Matt ever commits too hard to one lane, Kuchiku can just push in the other.
But look at Kuchi's tower now down to 2,009, 2009. So hoping not to have a crash here is Kuchiku.
Yeah, Matt playing very, very well here, and I think that this Night Witch is a huge part of it. Kuchiku not having the Night Witch in his deck, you see how much damage those bats do, how effective they are, and especially with the counter push potential here now, a lot for Kuchi to deal with.
Yeah, if these support troops can take care of that Lumberjack without getting all the way NATO'd and Fireball.
And a great NATO Fireball. That one bat doing a great job getting that Baby Dragon down, but not taking it out.
And now fairly even in Elixir are these two players, but Matt continuing to play very, very well here after the early laps.
And that Night Witch coming out of the Baby Dragon Belch is not what Matt wanted there.
So down to 883, very close is Matt 0-1's tower, but That Fireball leaving the Night Witch alone. Now we have double Night Witch raged up, moving on tower.
This is a huge
Not a lot
push.
of Elixir to deal with this either.
There's no way that Kuchi can actually defend against this. This is going to be a huge comeback for Matt, taking the first game. Wow.
Unbelievable play by Matt 0-1. The Italian coming from behind after the early lapses. And you said it, Andrew, the Night Witch was a huge difference.
Yeah, I really like the deck composition here of Matt. He's got the Bandit in there for a very quick response. You saw him put pressure on Kuchi when Kuchi finally golemed up. Right here is that Bandit dropping down. You get a wow from Kuchi. And I think the wow was kind of surprised from Kuchi, the fact that Matt spent that Elixir on the Bandit, and then in turn you saw Kuchi take his tower. Somehow Matt keeps his cool, remains calm, plays great defense, and look at this huge push coming in now. A great NATO Fireball here, but the next time that push came down right here, Kuchi just did not have the defensive responses, and you see Matt just starting to compile units, dropping everything he can, seeing that Kuchi cannot defend against this push.
So Kuchiku electing to stay in the same lane that Matt wanted to play with his golem play.
Yeah.
Do you think in the long run that was a poor choice?
I wonder, I liked it in the moment when he dropped the golem at the river to meet Matt's to play defense, but I wonder if he would have played it in the opposite lane, would he have taken that left Princess Tower earlier on, Rich?
Very important questions. It will all be answered here in game number 3. In game number 2.
Yeah, we
it felt like that was 2 games. That one game felt like 2.
I threw you off, man. It was the Team Liquid, Team Queso back and forth.
So Spear Goblins played at the river in that special spot, just one tile off center to get one extra throw.
And again, you got to imagine Matt is going to play Golem. You see that he's happy to take that Spirit Goblin damage, seeing that Kuchi has already not wasted, but spent a couple elixir. He had a slight advantage.
And here we go, Sparky deck for Kuchiku.
And that is not what Matt wanted to see. That Sparky does such a great job at killing these tanks, and that was an excellent fireball. You might think that it wasn't worth, but it was totally for cleaning up the bats and keeping the Sparky alive, and a very interesting deck coming from Kuchiku here.
Zap, though, that is going to be very valuable. A nice slight shift for Matt's deck here.
Yeah, that Zap is going to be huge. It's almost as if he knew that the Sparky was coming. That Bandit getting a great amount of value, and I was going to say, you wonder if Matt is going to take the damage here and try to golem up again, or if he's going to meet it with something.
So we haven't seen a ton of Sparky here in CRL. Of course, Asuchini has his fantastic Sparky play. But Sparky Giant, how do you feel about that, Andrew, against this Golem Night Witch deck?
It's interesting because, like, usually with a Giant deck, you don't want to push into the same lane as a Golem. You want to go the opposite lane. With a cheaper and weaker tank, it's better to split up or not push into your opponent's big tank. However, that Sparky changes everything up. Such a great tank killer. Now you can push into the same lane, have the Giant protect your Sparky, and destroy your opponent's Golem.
Really great defense in that sequence there from Matt, choosing not to golem up and try to go face-to-face, instead knowing he had enough defensive responses to stop that push before it got to tower.
Yeah, Kuchi recognizing it, throwing up the well-played, thinking that he probably was going to get a bit of damage in, but Matt says, no, my friend, you got to work a little harder than that.
10 seconds into double elixir time, and things are pretty much even. You got to believe that Matt is saving that Zap for a key moment on when that Sparky will play, probably to prevent damage to support troops.
Yeah, and now you see the Night Witch being dropped way farther back to add a great amount of damage and utility here, playing defense against the Giant, but also so it's not within that Sparky's burst or that Sparky's, I don't even know what to call it, explosion? Electrical explosion?
I'm sure there's an official term for what that Sparky does. I'm going to go with annoying.
Yeah, totally, man. And then now you see this is the most dangerous a Sparky can be, and that is why Matt takes it out immediately, but he spent too much elixir behind the Giant, and now these units are all on top of his Princess Tower. He did the right thing, Rich, and you see he actually survived because of it, but that was a lot of damage.
And Kuchi, plenty of elixir to respond, and now Gianting again at the river, but that will get taken care of pretty easily by the Lumberjack and Night Witch.
Right, but that Lumberjack and Night Witch is going to get cleaned up by a Sparky very quickly. So now, again, a big counter push coming for Kuchiku if he protects his Sparky.
Those bats taking care of the Sparky, so now it's the Night Witch on tower.
Yeah.
A lot of damage there. We are getting much, much closer here in the waning moments.
Man, and if that fireball was just a hair to the left, Matt actually may have just taken the game, not getting the predictive fireball down. A great play, just barely missing.
So Matt choosing to go small and fast here as we are in sudden death overtime, looking to play defense and not really give that Sparky a golem target to deal with.
And an excellent zap. All these defensive plays from Matt are incredible, and if he comes out on top, it will be strictly because of the defense he's played throughout this game.
249 though, he is in zap fireball range, so needs to pick up the pace, decides to golem up at the river. That's going to be very slow with the fast deck that Kuchiku has. I don't know if he has time to get back to that tower, so the fireball comes in. The Giant will take a swing, and that is it. Game number 2 for Kuchiku.
Kind of surprised that you called it early, and you see his bench maybe even thinking the same thing as you, Rich. Why didn't the fireball zap come down early? Why did that Giant come down instead? However, Kuchi's still getting away with it, but I got to imagine that's what the conversation on the bench of Queso is right now. And here you see this big push. Matt doing a great job taking out the Sparky, the most important unit to take out, and then he somehow defends against all this. And, you know, this is a great dropped bandit. It picks up that second Royal Ghost, and that's the only reason he stayed in the game as long as he did.
The fast cycle of Kuchiku just barely saving him in this moment, keeping him ahead. You know, Matt didn't play perfect, but he did play very, very well.
Yes, he did.
Both players, though, getting away with a couple ones here as we move into game number 3 to decide this set.
Good luck's coming out from both players here, and a thumbs up and a dab.
Your ban cards one more time, Poison and Tombstone.
And that Poison is such a great card at taking out the Night Witch behind the Golem and all the bats supporting it. A Poison and a Log will take it out, and that's probably why you've seen Matt play the Night Witch so much.
So the last time these squads met, Matt in the opening game ran 3 Musketeers Royal Hogs versus Kuchi's Graveyard Ghost Zappy deck and got a very easy win. But it was Kuchiku who ran the same deck, 3M Royal Hogs, back against Matt's Golem Dragon Lightning deck, and Matt didn't have answers for that Royal Hog deck with the Poison. So it was Kuchi who closed things out in game number 3. And the big one is, again, with, I believe Fireball was banned that time. This time Fireball is active, so maybe that's why we're not seeing either player go with a Royal Hog deck in this case.
Yeah, and with the bowler early on, you got to imagine we were going to see a Royal Giant deck, and Kuchi's running that very, very popular and very strong Graveyard deck that so many pros have been running here at CRL. And that Giant getting a few hits in.
Yeah, Giant does fairly well. 2 big hits early on. Down to 2026 is Kuchi's right-hand tower.
Oh, this deck. I hate this deck. It is such a strong deck in the meta right now. The Furnace is such an annoying card to deal with. Really great response to the Royal Hogs. However, against the deck that Matt's running with the Bowler in hand, a great response to any spawner.
Bowler has seen an uptick in use in the last couple of weeks since the October update.
And Matt having all the answers he needs with the guards, with the bowler, but a great Baby Dragon NATO combo. I've been running this deck a good amount in Grand Challenges lately that Kuchiku's running, and that combo is so devastating, and it's so fun when you pull it off.
We enter double elixir time with about a 300 hit point lead, 295 to be exact on the right-hand side for Kuchiku. Whose deck do you like here better in double elixir here?
Well, I mean, since you've got more heavy cards in Matt's deck, it's obviously going to shine more here in Double Elixir. However, Kuchi having so many great defensive responses with the NATO, with the Ice Wizard, with the guards, it's going to be very hard for Matt to break through. And you look right there, the one shot from the Giant goes to the Furnace, the NATO comes back, nothing is on the tower.
And that Bowler, while a good option, kind of frustrating when you have double Baby Dragons stacked up in the skies.
Absolutely. You can't throw those boulders up. You see the Furnace coming in again with the guards doing a great amount of damage to that Royal Giant. He's still got the NATO if he needs it, but not necessary.
So a little stalled out here in double elixir time. Neither player getting on tower in these moments. Matt01 does have some decent graveyard answers, but plays one of them up high to deal with that baby dragon.
Yeah, thinking that the bowler is going to be enough of a response, and he has to spend a zap as well. So you get that he's got to play the bowler down, or you get that he dropped the bowler, and then he had to play the guards up high so that that tank could get across the river, but not the best response.
Yeah, you probably rate bowler as maybe a medium response to graveyard because of its slow attack speed.
Yes, exactly. And now obviously it cleans up a lot of the units, but it can only throw one bowling stone at a time, and it only goes in one direction.
So about 650 in the lead right now is Kuchiku, and we are beginning to see these graveyards come down fast and furious. This time, though, with guards and bowler, a much better defense, and building up a lot in the back, although that Tornado Fireball Baby Dragon is always going to be a challenge for Matt01 to get past.
Yeah, and a great point you make about building up this huge push that's coming down the lane. You get a massive Fireball, great value, and another great value Tornado from Kuchiku in response. But Matt getting just one hit from that Royal Giant on tower.
But that hit's a big one. Now down to 1169. Things are much, much closer. And Kuchiku forced to put that iWiz back near the tower to stop that Inferno Dragon from getting on.
Yeah, now it's that Wizard's health is very negligible, doesn't need to be defended against, but he supports it by dropping a Baby Dragon up front. Now the guards and the bowler again, so you got to imagine that Matt is trying to create that big push that was just somewhat effective for him on that last offensive venture.
Down to 481 because of that Fireball, so this might be the most important push of the entire game for Matt.
Barbarian Barrel showing up so much over this last couple weeks, doing a great amount of defensive work for Kuchi.
That slow was really big, getting 2 shots off from the Royal Giant, and with a slight elixir lead as Matt01, Kuchiku needs to figure out what his offensive plan is going to be here in the final minute of sudden death.
Yeah, I mean, do you just play defense and try to spell cycle him out? Do you just keep sending in these graveyards? But he defends these graveyards so well, and in turn gets a large counter push. So now the Fireball comes in a little bit late, getting good value.
Oh, but those skeleton hits were absolutely huge. So now Matt01 needs to push. He knows that as soon as a Fireball comes in, that's going to be good game. The Royal Giant gets one shot, a second shot, and that is it! Kuchiku, the Barbarian, closes it out.
Oh my gosh. That was so close. You saw the incredible play by Matt on the other side of the map, and Kuchi can't believe it. I'm sure he thought he was about to lose that tower. That Royal Giant was just about to get a shot off. And wow, those 2 skeleton hits were huge. And Rich, it was because of the Fireball. It wasn't because of the Fireball taking out units, but it was actually the Fireball pushing those guards away from the skeletons that allowed those 2 hits to get in. And Team Queso with a huge win. And now SK has got to be watching every single move that Liquid makes.
What an unbelievable finish here. Team Queso securing that #1 spot with their 11th win on the season. Now a record of 11-2. Unbelievable play by the Cheesy Ones.
And you see here Matt finally kind of figuring out the winning formula, right? It was to defend with the bowler and the guards, in turn create a counter push, NATO everything together on the other side of the map and throw down a Fireball. If maybe he would have figured that out just 20 seconds earlier in the game, maybe one push earlier, he would have taken this.
Let's look at this same replay again, because there's all these moments, and we'll see that Barbarian Barrel, that Barbarian escape. But let's go back through that replay one more time, because you can see the sequence, the number of things that had to happen in a row for Kuchiku to get that win. Of course, it begins with that Fireball, pushing the guards out of the way. And then, so here we go. Let's go through this whole sequence.
Yes. Fireball pushes the guards out of the way. In turn, those 2 skeletons get a total of 3 hits, which is massive. And then you see these units all coming down. So what does Kuchiku do? Well, he's going to barrel because he's going to take out the guards, hopefully take out the bowler, turns it around, gives it one little smack, and somehow that Barbarian has enough health. That Royal Giant would have gotten 2 shots off.
That is absolutely crazy, because also you see that Barbarian escape, and I wonder if Matt was focused on that side. You know, he didn't have much elixir available. Maybe a zap could have dealt with it. Who knows? He did have it keyed up, but maybe looking the opposite side of the board. Crazy finish. So let's go hear more about how those last few moments played out. Christy St. John has your winner, Kuchiku.
Thanks, guys. Kuchiku, how does it feel to take the match, the 1v1 set, and the secured #1 spot for playoffs?
Okay. Lo he entendido. A ver, la verdad es que muy contento, estaba sobre todo muy nervioso. Creo que es el día que he jugado más nervioso porque nos jugamos el primer puesto y era ahora todo mío. Quiero decir, si ya ganaba yo, ya estábamos primeros, entonces por eso estaba tan nervioso.
He feels really good, but he was really nervous. He thinks that is the match that he was most nervous because if we win that, we knew we secured first position, and he knew that winning his match, it was already done. So he just played with nerves. Yeah.
Certainly the stakes were high, and for that last game, talk me through the last few moments. I thought you might have lost.
A ver, pues la verdad es que pensaba que la tenía bastante perdida, porque tenía en mente lo que quería hacer, que era tornado para atrás al noble y tirar bola y ganaba, lo que no me daba el elixir. Y justo no me había fijado, pero el bárbaro ese me ha salvado la vida, ha sido Dios.
He thought at the end that he had the game, but he realized that he had no elixir to tornado back the Royal Giant. That was his plan, and after that fireball because he had in rotation after the nado. But he didn't realize of that little barbarian that saved the game for us.
Well, great game, guys. You can take a breath because you are there. Congrats. Thanks so much for talking to me. Muchas gracias. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. I mean, such an important moment, such an important match. And while it doesn't move things up on our standings, does make things very interesting going into Saturday.
Absolutely. With SK and Liquid playing each other here in the next couple of weeks, this is a huge, huge moment. Now tied with Liquid at 6-6. They do, however, have the first season game over them. Team Queso now at 11-2 has been our first team to clinch a playoff spot, and it is also the best one to have.
Yeah, that #1 spot, of course, gets a first and second round bye. So we're going to see how things fall out for space #2 and, of course, 3 or 4. All these squads looking for a shot at the World Finals.
Absolutely. In Queso feeling those World Finals at their fingertips. They will be in Tokyo, Japan on December 1st. We'll both be there. We're so excited. If you guys hop in-game to your news tab, you can find out all the details there.
And that's one place you can follow along the action here. Of course, also follow along by hitting subscribe on the Clash Royale Esports YouTube page. Ring that bell for notifications. Go to esports.clashroyale.com to follow along with our standings. And of course, as we just mentioned, the tab will be back Saturday, October 13th at 9 p.m. Central European time for what we might call Wild Card Weekend at this point. The aforementioned SK Gaming versus Team Liquid match, which will possibly very well decide the #4 spot in our playoffs. And Allegiance and G2 playing potentially for that very important second place spot to get a first round bye on the way to the World Finals. So make sure you are with us on Saturday. For Andrew Guy, I'm Rich Slayton. We'll see you back here inside the arena.
There you have it. Yet another exciting day in the Clash Royale League comes to a close. The playoffs are so near, you can taste it. Kind of tastes like cotton candy, doesn't it? Now, the players have only one thing on their mind. Well, actually two. Cotton candy and the World Finals in Tokyo on December 1st. Who will be there? Keep watching to find out. Subscribe to the Clash Royale Esports channel, and remember, the Ice Wizard might seem cold, but he's really a good guy. Just give him a chance to warm up.